At this time, I would recognize Senator Pagliarini.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise in opposition to this bill. Senators, there are no exceptions, there are no exemptions in this bill. Your municipality has a fire truck on Route 95, it qualifies for a toll. The National Guard convoy on Route 95 qualifies for a toll. If a trash hauler hauling municipal trash from the city of Newport wants to bring it to the Johnston landfill, it requires a toll. There are no exceptions. We're going to start having municipal tolling under this bill. There are no provisions.
On the main act, Senator Pagliarini.
Thank you, Madam President. All right. If I may draw everybody's attention to page 8, lines 15, 19, and 22. They all commence with the same language. Subject to Section 42-13.1-14. I'm not sure that's correct. I believe the intent might have been Section 4, because the inference, if it is Clause 14, is it's the severability clause. And if it's the severability clause, then there's an indication by the author of the bill that they don't think it's constitutional, because no other reference in this entire bill references the severability clause, since it's a catch-all for the entire bill. So my question for somebody to answer would be whether or not those lines are indeed Section 14, or should they reference Section 4?
Please be seated, Senator, and we will, in fact, secure an answer to your question. The lawyers will double-check the citation.
If I may continue? Other points?
I thought that was your question.
Oh, no. Several.
All right. If you would, once again, you certainly can proceed. And as a member of Finance, I'm sure most of these questions you raised in committee, but it'll just take a moment for the chair to check with legal counsel
sure.
to verify the statutory references.
And what we did have on Finance 7 hours of testimony, but we also had zero debate on the merits of the bill.
Please proceed, Senator,
right,
while they research your question. That's my only request.
Thank you. Same page, same section, line 19. One of the main selling points of this entire statute, proposed statute, is that local truckers or interstate commerce coming through our state, we're going to be able to have a maximum toll of $20 per day. But if you read page 8, line 19, subject to Section 42-13.1-14, subject to review, the total amount of tolls imposed upon the same individual large commercial truck using an RFID for making a border-to-border through trip on Route 95 Connecticut to Route 95 Massachusetts or the reverse shall not exceed $20. I'd ask the sponsor of the bill to answer the question. If I'm a truck and I come from Connecticut and I travel to East Providence, and I'm subject to multiple gantries, and then I reverse my route and take the 610 connector and go up 295, can I be told more than $20 a day? Because this bill says it's $20 a day if I'm on Route 95. It does not say 195, 295, 146, or 24.
Senator DePalma.
Thank you, Madam President. Senator, I believe it's the $20 limit per day one way.
Yes, sir.
It's $40 round trip.
Yes, sir. But that's not what the language says. We're wordsmiths. We read the language, and the language says it's $20.
Certainly, Senator, you're free to argue that on the merits.
Yeah, all right. Well, on the merits, it says $20 a day if you travel Route 95 from Connecticut to Massachusetts. It does not say $20 a day if you go up Route 295, starting your origin point being at the Connecticut 95 point, It does not say $20 a day if you start at Connecticut Route 95 and go Route 146.
Please proceed, Senator.
Thank you. This bill gives the Department of Transportation effectively unfettered power to set toll prices and locations. I'm greatly troubled by that. Then we have the Dormant Commerce Clause. The United States Supreme Court often has said that states cannot pass legislation that infringes on interstate commerce. I believe there was commentary by Mr. Alviti in committee that, yeah, we've looked at that. I have not seen a legal opinion, have not seen a paper, I don't know if others have, but I don't believe this bill passes muster. And I drew in committee attention to the fact that we charge a toll evader in this bill $3,000. We know the intent of this bill is for the big trucks. However, our current statute for toll evaders on the Newport Bridge is $500. We have devised a scheme that is much more punitive to interstate commerce than to local traffic on the Newport Bridge. And I see that as a failing that will be brought up in court by anybody who does bring action against us. Additionally, hold on. Hold 1 second, please. The fallacy that 60% of the revenue will be generated by out-of-state truckers because they're damaging our bridges, I don't believe that. Each of us here, or most of us here, park in the lower parking lot. And when we walk up those concrete stairs, what is the condition of those stairs? Those stairs are crumbling due to the rock salt that is put on them. The damage that's caused to our bridges is by the neglect of our Department of Transportation. We are singling out an industry stating that they are the cause of damage to our bridges. Yet, it's the Department of Transportation's negligence and failure that's causing the majority of it. This bill does not address the 102,000-pound dump trucks. We're saying that weight of vehicles is what's causing the problems, yet we're giving the local trucks that weigh a lot a free pass here. This is going to come back and haunt us in a federal litigation. Are you aware that a fully loaded RIPTA bus weighs more than an empty 18-wheeler? These are all problems that are going to be raised in litigation against us. Lastly, Madam President, based on the above, I ask that this bill be recommitted to the Finance Committee and make that motion.
Motion has been made for recommittal, seconded by Senator O'Neill, Senator Algier, Senator Kettle, Senator G., and Senator Morgan. This is a debatable motion, Mr. Chairman. On the motion to recommit.
I would urge my colleagues to vote against it. We are going to have, we've had plenty of debate. We're going to continue to have, I'm sure, much more debate as the afternoon goes on. So I would encourage you to vote against the motion.
Motion to recommit has been made and seconded. Will the clerk please unlock the machine? Shall the act be recommitted? Will the clerk please lock the machine? 26 in the negative, 10 in the affirmative, and the motion to recommit fails. Senator Pagliarini.
Thank you, Madam President. Been taking copious notes and would like to address a few things point by point. Chairman DePont, still very concerned knowing now that those sections on page 8 are correctly listed. The only sections in this entire statute that reference the possibility of unconstitutionality really would give me pause if I owned a truck. Additionally, the language, the black and white language of this bill states $20 maximum Connecticut 95 to Mass 95. There will be greater than $20 tolls based on the language that is seemingly going to pass. Senator Lombardi, respectfully, you quoted the landmine in this bill. One truck equals 9,600 cars. A 1979 report that was convenient for the authors of this bill that has been debunked by the University of Texas in 1999. I'm not saying that a truck doesn't cause more damage, but to complete and to cite this in a state statute is offensive because it's not true. A 1979 report, road standards have changed, truck construction has changed, tires have changed, and one truck does not equal that number anymore due to the latest studies if you go onto the University of Texas website. Nobody's mentioned the RIPAC report. This bill provides $700 million of unaccounted for surplus. Is that going to go silently into the night? $700 million. That's a problem. Are we borrowing too much? Should we not be tolling? But the RIPAC report gives us alternatives that were not debated in committee. The good senators who talked about their district and the jobs and how they knock on doors and people are unemployed, Senators Chacon, Senator Met, Senator Crowley. I understand that. But I sat through 7 hours of testimony with independent trucker company after independent trucker company saying that they've got 43 employees in Pawtucket, 109 employees in Pawtucket, UPS. These people are all going to face a serious business decision on whether or not they remain in the state of Rhode Island. Senator Goodwin's referenced our governor. Our governor has made a proposal for high-tech jobs. It appears there's a balancing act here, and what we're willing to concede are the truck drivers, the secretaries, the mechanics, the lower paid blue-collar jobs. That is what is at stake here if the entire trucking industry decides to pick up and leave our state, because the correct phrase was the path to prosperity is now obstructed by 14 gantries. Okay? We don't want to lose the jobs that are important to the neighborhoods that need them, but not everybody is going to fit into the governor's high-tech jobs. Not everybody's going to do a green job as Madam President wants. We need mechanics. We need people that work at retail outlets. And those jobs are at peril with this bill. Okay? Additionally, I respectfully have several four-letter words for Senator Prashado. Salt, cold, rain. Each of those are doing more damage to our bridges than trucks. It's through neglect that our roads are in the condition they are in. To say that 60% of the damage is being caused by out-of-state trucks is to have a mathematical equation that knows exactly how much damage was caused by trucks, how much was caused by salt, how much was caused by ice, how much was caused by cold. We don't know that. We'll stipulate trucks cause damage, but if I need you to stipulate that DEM's negligence is what got us into this spot. And that's where we are, and that's why we're faced with Chairman DePont said, a critical situation in front of us. And nobody argues that. The problem that we have is this bill has too many unknowns in it. Okay? We have got an income stream that is endless in a 10-year plan. Tolls, once we put those gantries up, they're not coming down. But as Senator Kettle said, we see how quickly they can come down. And what pause that should give everybody is that they can be moved. There's 500 and some odd bridges, but yet we've only identified 14 gantries. Is it possible that DOT, once a bridge is done, moves the gantry to another bridge, to a neighborhood near you? This bill is open-ended in many aspects, and we need more time. The amendment that I previously proposed gives immediate funding to solve the problem. Senator Goodwin identified tragedies throughout the United States. The one thing I trust is our DOT to avert those, because but for them, we may have lost the Speaker of the House because they shut his bridge down before it collapsed. We need to look at our bridges, but it has to be in a different mechanism. This bill, as proposed, gives us jobs. We want them. However, it just is so open-ended on so many issues, it's going to come back. And lastly, to Chairman DePont, I am an attorney. And I am concerned greatly of the open testimony that local incentives and local businesses will have further bills passed to support them. The federal courts will find that this is a systemic scheme, and they will rule against this entire bill. And we are going to end up tolling cars, or we're going to say, take the gantries down, and we're going to be stuck with the bonds. Thank you.
Is there any objection? If there's no objection, with the consent of the chamber, you shall be allowed to speak a third time.
Thank you, Madam President. And quickly, the one omission to my previous commentary. The state of Rhode Island has a permit process for overload vehicles and overweight vehicles. This bill does not address those. If our concern is really about heavy trucks causing damage on our vehicles and on Allens Avenue and other local roads, why does this bill not address the heaviest of the heaviest vehicles on the road? Again, an empty 18-wheeler is 30, 40,000 pounds, but you can buy a permit, and last year we only raised $392,000 in overloaded permits, I believe is the number, and like 1.2 million in overloaded permits. So why is that permit process not also part of this as a comprehensive outlook to protect our roads? Thank you.
Clerk, please unlock the machine. Shall the Rhode Island Bridge Replacement, Reconstruction and Maintenance Fund pass? Have all senators indicated their vote? Will the clerk please lock the machine? 25 in the affirmative, 12 in the negative, and the act passes.